I'm Barry Funkhauser, and this is the Barry Funkhauser Show. Here's what's up. Well, could TikTok be banned in the U.S. for good? Mesa Airlines flight halts landing at Burbank Airport to avoid collision. And bare minimum Monday trends. Here with me, as always, is General Know-It-All current events guy, Joe. Hey, man.
Wow, another day of gloom and doom in the news. I miss the days when all you wanted to talk about was birds, Barry.
Well, there's no bird news, man. Apparently that the news cycle has cycled on through.
Well, hopefully when the spring comes, we'll get some more bird news for you, because I know you enjoy it so much.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes we have to cover the hard news, and on a gloomy week like today, while we're all soggy and trying to dry off, let's get political.
Yeah, get political. Go for it.
All right, well, the social media giant TikTok is the latest front in rising tensions between the U.S. and China. Listen to this.
Every time an American opens TikTok, each of them might be handing over personal information like names, email addresses, even physical location. It all forms a vast database on Americans inside a Chinese-owned company. And that has made TikTok the latest front in a deepening war of words with China. The White House saying it needs to curb foreign adversaries' access to Americans' data. While China's foreign minister criticized the world's #1 superpower for being afraid of a mobile phone application that young people like so much.
I'm 18. We're all 18. Let me share my information with China if I want to. I literally could care less.
Federal employees have 30 days to delete TikTok off all government devices. The House Foreign Affairs Committee is poised to give President Biden authority to essentially outlaw it for all Americans. Already, 41 states have some sort of ban in place or under consideration. The ACLU says a ban would violate the First Amendment rights of millions of Americans. Experts say that, in fact, a national ban has little precedent here in the U.S., but it's common in China.
China typically bans big tech and social media companies from their citizens being able to access them, ostensibly for some of the same privacy concerns and reasons.
Last year, a TikTok executive addressed concerns about personal data.
Under no circumstances would we give that data to China.
In a statement, TikTok calls talk of a ban political theater and urged lawmakers not to censor millions of Americans. But a rare bipartisan coalition is nonetheless threatening to ban one of the most popular apps in the world. Jake Ward, NBC News, New York.
Ban it. Ban it.
Yeah, you and I
right now. Take it out.
You and I are a different generation. Okay. We lived in the dawn of the internet. We saw it come up. We lived through social media. But we did not live through a time where being an American was important because for fear of war and things of that nature, World War. We haven't lived through that kind of thing.
Speak for yourself, man. I was at the end of the Cold War. I remember having to hide under my desk for nuke stuff.
Okay, I'm not counting Iraq and Iran, Afghanistan, the Cold War.
No, I am talking about the Cold War with Russia when Reagan was president. I remember those days. I am older than you. Remember that. So okay, I remember having missile drills and having to hide under my desk because the nuke might be coming and hiding under your desk was going to somehow save you. So I remember all that. It was scary.
My point here is if at that point in time, if the Russians came up with a fun app for your phone there you can giggle with it and flip around and stuff. All you got to do is give them all your information, geolocations, and figure out where all of your landmarks are and your vacation spots and the things that you cherish, all that thing. Just send it on over. And I think so many generations have come up like that. That girl said, I'm 18. I can do what I want.
That was the stupidest quote I have heard in a long time. 18-year-olds are dumb people. Most 18-year-olds are really, really dumb when it comes to the world and foreign affairs and politics, especially. They're dumb. And yeah, I'm going to get a lot of pushback.
Well, any foreign adversary is going to want to go for the young people anyway if they're trying to take something out. So they're going to go for all the young sheep. So I don't know where to stand on this, man. It's like I never.
I know exactly where I stand. Where do you stand? You don't know where you stand?
Well, I mean, there's two parts of the coin here. It's like, well, if you block it, then you're opening up a box where everybody's gonna. If you block it, you have to educate the masses and tell them why you've blocked it. It kind of feels like a mass event has to happen in order for them to realize the impact that this thing is putting.
That's dumb. That's like, oh, let's wait until someone blows up the World Trade Center before we deal with terrorism.
Well,
and that's exactly what happened. So how many thousands of people have to die first?
How do you reach these kids then?
You take TikTok off of social media platforms. That's how you reach kids. You don't allow the apps on the app stores. And that's how you tell kids this is dangerous for you because these people are mining your information to use against you in the future. These kids don't understand what they are doing. Like they're, like all kids. I was dumb at 18 too. I will admit I was a stupid young man. I did not, because I was like, I don't care about blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you know what? Because I didn't have perspective to understand how important it actually is. So I just ban it. China does this all the time to any kind of apps coming from America or the quote unquote West.
So if they do, why are we letting? Okay, so then here's where I stand, Joe. Officially, is why are we letting other countries get away with this? Like we need to
because we're dumb. Because we're dumb. Because we don't have any kind of balls in government to actually just make decisions. Because we're too afraid of pissing off constituents. You know what? Constituents are sometimes dumb and don't understand what needs to happen to ensure their safety. This is why we have elections to appoint people to represent us and our best interests. So please just take it off. China does this all the time. China and Russia both limit the internet access for their citizens to an egregious degree. So why are we allowing China and foreign agents to just come in and have all of these apps and collect all of this data? It's the same reason why do we allow foreign nationals to buy property in the United States? No other country allows that. I mean, Mexico maybe, but Mexico also will come in and say, hey, you know what? You bought that property, but that doesn't give you citizenship. You are not a citizen. Get out. We now own this property. They do that all the time. China does not allow foreign nationals to buy property in their country. Why do we allow that in our country? Why do we allow these foreign nationals to come in and just do whatever the hell they want? We got to be smarter about this from a geopolitical standpoint, and we cannot allow China free reign over the app stores to do whatever they want, because the executives at TikTok can say all day long that they're not going to give information to China, which is fine. China doesn't need your permission. They already have backdoors into your system to look at that stuff whenever they want. So if you are saying that as an executive from TikTok, you are either delusional or you are super naive. So just ban it. Just get it off. I mean, even if the Biden administration can only say no TikTok on foreign or on federal phones or, state phones, anything owned by the government that might have sensitive information on it, that's fine. That's a start. But I really do feel like a lot of these apps that are owned by Chinese companies, which are just in essence, arms of the Chinese government is in everything. Anything made in China, produced in China, developed in China, the Chinese government, I am sure, has a backdoor in. That is just how they do things. That is how companies have to agree to these restrictions and asks from the Chinese government to be able to access their billion-dollar or their billions of people in their market. My thing is, like, when do we get to a point where chasing the dollar from the Chinese market is is less important than our national security. I think that we're already there. So I want them to ban TikTok. I want them to ban a lot of other Chinese apps, but that's just me. Oh, and Russian apps too, and other things like that. So anyway, I go for it.
Okay.
Knock it out. I don't think we're going to lose much.
Joe, I'm agree. You're going to make 18-year-olds very upset.
Why? It's just, you know what? Here's the thing. What I don't understand is just block it and let Meta or some other, I don't know, startup create a TikTok clone, and then let's just have that. It's not that hard. You can freaking make a TikTok clone. It's not a terribly complex app, guys. It's video. It's video and filters. I'm sure someone else in the United States can figure out a TikTok clone that isn't like stealing all of our information and throwing it into a Chinese government database.
I don't know, Joe. I like the fact that you want to ban it, because me too.
Yeah. Hey, we agree on something. Look at that.
All right. Well, today's show is brought to you by
Canine Adoption and Rescue League, saving all breeds in Southern California since 1996. Adopt, volunteer, and donate at carldogs.org.
All right, more news on the Barry Funkhauser Show. The FAA is investigating another close call, Joe. An airline I've never heard of, Mesa Airlines, their flight crew was forced to abruptly change course and halt a landing at California's Hollywood Burbank Airport when a SkyWest Airlines flight was cleared for takeoff on the same runway. Listen.
Tonight, the FAA is investigating another close call at a U.S. airport. A Mesa Airlines flight crew was forced to abruptly change course and halt a landing at California's Hollywood Burbank Airport Wednesday evening. A SkyWest Airlines flight was cleared for takeoff, and the Mesa pilot aborted the landing with the plane just over a mile from the same runway. A string of similar mix-ups prompted the FAA to call for a safety summit next month.
So there you go again, Joe. There's more airline problems.
I am sure that the right will try to pin this on Pete Buttigieg however they can, even though he was nowhere near it and he has no say in the FAA's rules about air traffic controllers and how much rust they can get. So
they're going to blame him and his shoes again, huh?
Yeah. Mayor Pete. It's all Mayor Pete's fault, of course. Yeah. Dumb. This has to come down. I want to know the air traffic controller that was speaking to these planes and the supervisor there, like, were they on their 12-hour of a 16-hour shift? You know, there are sleep deprivation issues hitting air traffic controllers and the FAA. I want to know exactly how this came about, because this is like the third or fourth in just like a few weeks of like close calls at airports. Not just at Burbank, but didn't we get another one over at LAX?
You think it's showboating?
In like Newark?
You think it's showboating? You think it's something we don't know about landing planes, where like you can cause a near landing without any emergency? You know,
no, this isn't Maverick, man. This isn't Tom Cruise. You know, blowing past the con tower so he can make John Hamm
because it was in the news and it's not anymore.
What do you mean it was in the news and then it's not anymore?
All the pilots not having enough pilots. You know, there was a big thing about, you know, airline strikes and everything.
Oh, well, no, that's just we just got to do some follow-up news. All that stuff is still happening. It's just, you know, once you get to a point where it's like, hey, we're going to negotiate. Negotiations take some time and they're boring, and so it kind of drops out of the news because no one's actually striking, and you know, the airlines aren't melting down because there aren't, you know, huge storms everywhere canceling thousands and thousands and thousands of flights, and then you don't have Southwest, like, you know, having a major meltdown and stuff like that. It's still in the news. There's still, you know, stuff is still happening, I guess. There's just not there just hasn't been a resolution, so we can't, like, you know, do follow-up news yet or anything like that.
I see. Well, I still think it might be a little bit of showmanship here. I don't know. Maybe. No. Like, these pilots they are just trying to get
themselves and everybody in the back of the plane to their destination safely. They're not trying to showboat. They're not doing flybys. They're literally bus drivers. They are like, look, I want to go home too. Yeah. I'm not looking to have to do extra paperwork because I wanted to do some crazy flyby or anything like that. I'm looking to take off safely, throw on autopilot, take off autopilot, land safely, go home for the night. That's it. That's all they want to do.
Yeah. And get paid right.
Get paid a fair wage that actually speaks to their level of experience and how they keep hundreds of people safe on every single flight that they make. So.
That's right. All right. More news. Finally tonight. Finally some fun news, Joe.
Oh, good.
A growing number of young workers are choosing to focus on self-care at the start of each work week. It's hashtag Bare Minimum Monday.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
And you can only wear your hair in a ponytail once a week. So I guess you pick today.
And on Mondays, we do the bare minimum.
Bare Minimum Monday is where I only hold myself accountable to doing the bare minimum for work, and then the rest of the day is for me.
Bare Minimum Monday is the brainchild of Phoenix-based digital creator Marissa Jo Mays.
It's a burnout prevention strategy. There's a reason the tortoise and the hare story has stuck around for so long.
Bare Minimum Monday, MJ says, isn't about phoning it in or slacking off, but about examining your relationship with hustle culture.
I could go fix my hair. I could do the whole thing. And then I was like, well, we're discussing Bare Minimum Mondays. So
yeah, you're the full embodiment.
I did get out of my PJs,
Partial embodiment. Yes.
Okay.
Killing it.
But why does Bare Minimum Monday have legs now? Last month's unemployment rate fell to 3.4%, the lowest figure since 1969. And according to federal data, the economy had 11 million job openings as of December. Experts telling us in a tight labor market like this one, workers typically wield greater leverage over an employer, since workers have more latitude to seek a job elsewhere.
I was in corporate America for 3 years, spiraled into burnout so fast. It only took me to age 25 to wind up with several health issues. I was in a bad place.
MJ quitting her job to check out self-employment, but that didn't fix her burnout.
I didn't necessarily have a boss problem. I had a hustle culture problem. One morning I woke up and audibly gave myself permission. You have permission to do the absolute bare minimum today. Insane what happened the moment I let myself off the hook a little bit.
Now, 3 million TikTok likes later, Bare Minimum Monday has taken off, with burnt-out employees giving MJ's concept a go.
Sometimes doing the bare minimum is okay, and it's enough. It's what the word literally means. The minimum of what's acceptable, people will reject it because they have yet to investigate their relationship to productivity.
So if you're looking to try your own Bare Minimum Monday, make a to-do list. And if an item doesn't have immediate consequences today, then that's tomorrow's problem. The day is all about focusing on you as a person as opposed to you, the employee.
Right. Now, this is so perfect for people who actually want to work hard, because now they'll look better to all their coworkers who are doing the bare minimum.
Only on Mondays,
So when you get passed up for that promotion and you don't move ahead,
he's got strong feelings about it.
I know. So she's not saying to do it every Monday and to slack off. It's just an exercise and to help you examine your relationship with productivity. And instead of thinking of yourself as your latest accomplishment, think of yourself as a person who also has a job.
It is something to think about.
And something to do. So on Monday, when I'm not shaved and my tie's a little looser, you'll know why.
Okay, I really don't know what you're going to think about this, Joe. Some of me thinks that you're in, some of me thinks that you're out.
I'm out.
You're out. You don't see the benefit of doing the bare minimum one day a week for the benefit of mental health.
Just do your job well all the time, and don't worry about it. My thing about the culture right now is something I don't understand why people are getting burned out so quickly. And it seems a lot like thin skin to me. And look, I'm still researching this. I'm still trying to figure out my actual opinion on these kinds of things. But
I feel it also
I
might be
was
a little bit of more obligations for the person than it used to be. More expectations.
Maybe, but I was in one of the top burnout professions for like 20 years, marketing and advertising. And yeah, there were rough weeks, there were rough times, but overall, I didn't really feel like I was burning out. And, I was working 10, 12-hour days as a young man, like in my 20s. And maybe it was just like that was just what was expected. Maybe things are different now, but I don't understand why people find it so hard to take care of yourself these days. I was working at agencies, and I was working, pretty high profile video game campaigns for like Guitar Hero and Call of Duty, like multi-million-dollar campaigns doing community management and things for small boutique agencies. We have these big contracts with these people. I was doing that for years. I was running teams. I was working a lot.
Well, you were working at,
but I was also working out every day. I was going out and having fun with my friends. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing in my 20s. I was working a lot. I was playing a lot. I was going out to concerts all the time. I was hanging out with my friends. We were having people over for barbecues. And then I was like, wake up the next day, kind of slap myself around a little bit, get into the office and work, then get off and go to the gym and do all that other stuff. So what has changed about that? Like I had multiple jobs back then too. I was working the agency, but then I was doing like, little hosting events here and being kind of playing like band manager on the side and trying to book some shows here and then. I was doing a lot of different things, just like today. So I don't understand how have the people changed, or has the culture actually changed all that dramatically?
Well, Joe, you've had your life balanced out from the get-go. You're not satisfied.
No.
Unless
I might sound like I have stuff together, but it's been tough.
Well, I think, for these people that need the Monday off, or the bare minimum Monday, are people that have overextended themselves to begin with. That are very imbalanced in their work-life schedule, that this is their only option because their job is just beyond them. I think that there's a lot to do with that. I believe, where it's just the people that need these kinds of days off are the ones that are overworked and maybe underpaid.
Well, everybody's overworked and underpaid. I was always overworked and underpaid. But are you saying that these people are like in a Michael Scott position, like they've been promoted above their means and their capacity? Well, because some people like Michael Scott was like he's a great paper salesman. He was a terrible manager. So is it the same thing? Are these people coming out of college, getting into these jobs, and they're like not prepared for this, or this isn't what I wanted, and now I'm super burnt out? Like,
well, maybe
my thing is like I don't understand it.
That's my take on it. Is these jobs are overwhelming. The ones that need this bare minimum Monday, they're very asking, and you just need the time off. So I don't think we can relate to this kind of situation because we haven't set our lives up this way.
But that's what I'm saying. My life was this way. When I was in my 20s, coming out of school, for the first 6, 7, 8 years of my professional career, this is what I did. This was my week was typically 50 hours of work. I went to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I went out and hung out with my friends 4 or 5 times a week. And I did it all the time. Like, so what I'm saying is, is my experience exceptional in that I was able to do these kinds of things and be successful and, and still go into work every day and not have to like actively try to slack off. So I don't know. I don't know. That's all. This was just life.
Baffling.
I was just life. You had to pay rent. You had to buy food. I wanted to go do some stuff. So I just made it work. Did I have breakdowns here and there? A couple. Not like massive breakdowns, but I yelled at my boss once on the way home when he called me up, asked me to come back. That was bad. That one was both stress and Chantix. So medication. Did not do well on the medication. So there's that. I mean, I had a couple little freakouts like that, but nothing to the point where I'm like, oh man, I'm 25 and I'm like so burnt out because I've worked 35 hours a week or 40 hours a week. So I'm not sure.
You're just wired differently, Joe.
Maybe I wired differently. Maybe, like you said, maybe I just had a better work-life balance already set up, and I just didn't really realize it.
That's my bet.
So, I mean, maybe. I hear these stories, and I understand that people are working hard and getting burnt out and stuff like that. I guess I just don't really understand because it's hard for me to find a comparison in my own life where I was just like, oh, I'm so burnt out. Oh, I can't ever work again. And
You're not wired that way. You'll never be able to understand it no matter what, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. Do I feel like employers need to be better overall with their workforces and understand that happy workers are more productive workers and trying to work people to the bone and just, having a revolving door of employees isn't great? I mean, I hope so. That's my thing. Do I feel like people need to be paid a wage that allows them to, at least live a comfortable life and not have to constantly worry about getting evicted or having to choose between paying the electric bill and the water bill? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in a position. And like I said, there were times when I struggled. There are times when I'm like, okay, well, I got to go work this part-time job just so I can make rent this week. But I never got to a point where I felt like I was done and used and over. Just weird. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, you're just a hard worker, Joe. What can we say about it? You're wired.
Am I though?
Well, you get the job done and you work your butt off to get it done no matter what.
Well, but my understanding, or actually my perspective on working in general, especially as a manager, is I don't care how much you work. I'm going to give you a goal. You have to finish this. You have to be productive in this way. Here is what I am looking for at the end of the week. However you manage to get there, I don't care. If you work 20 hours a week and you pull great results, cool. I don't care. You're on salary. Do what you need to do. It's just we need to get away from having like butts in a seat for 40 hours a week and turn that into, here's the goal we need to reach. How do we get there? And then figure it out, based on, not overworking people and making sure that everyone has a better balance in their life. So let's just get to that and stop like the return to the office, 40 hours a week in the seats, blah, 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 blah. That's just all control and stupid stuff. I don't care about that. I just care about results. Give me results.
Okay. Well, another hard worker to bring up tomorrow on the program. We're going to have Governor Tom on. Now, he's an indie folk artist, and he's got a wide range of things that he's into. He's playing a show in South Pasadena this weekend, and from what I understand, he is a Broadway guy and a very well thought out individual. Governor Tom is on the program tomorrow.
I think you're missing some of the big things. He's also a very well-known actor. And if y'all want to look him up, go on IMDb, look for Tom Wood. He was in The Fugitive.
Unreal. That's tomorrow on the Barry Funkhauser Show.